What's up guys, welcome back to Daily Reviews. Today is finally the day here to build in this Phanteks 719. Really excited about this, been waiting a long time to do it. I've finally got all the pieces together, so now I can start the build. It's going to be my first water cooling build, so I thought I'd take you guys along for the ride so you can see how I do. Hopefully nothing will go wrong and we'll see how we get on. So please stay tuned and don't forget to click that subscribe button. It really helps out the channel and will help me grow and give you more better content in the future. Cheers guys. first water cool build in the Phanteks 719, previously the Lux 2. I hope you enjoyed watching the build video. Like I said, it's my first water cooling build and I'm pretty happy with how it turned out. So what I'll do is I'll talk about a few things I like about the case and a few things I don't. There's not many, but there's a few. So the case itself is fantastic to build and it's really, really easy. There's so much space in there, so much room for different types of fans, radiators, so much support for liquid cooling. So this is even going to be easy to upgrade the water cooling loop at some point if I did want to. So that's a good thing for it on a plus. Other than that, like I say, really easy to install. Everything goes in a dream. There's so much room in there. The case can be broken down quite a lot as well, so you take front panel, top panel, side panels all off. All the dust filters are removable, magnetic dust filters in the front, the bottom and the top, which is just amazing. It's just so easy to work with. Also the RGB lighting is fantastic. As you can see, there's the RGB lighting that runs around the side of it. There's also RGB lighting inside the case on its own. And then obviously I've added my fans to it as well. And also the fans I've used, the Aerocool fans, I've used Astro 12s, I've used Astro 24, and I've also used Duo 12s, and there is actually Eclipse 12s in the front as well. With those, including the ones on the back of the radiator, so it's got a push-pull configuration. There's a total of 17 fans in this case, which you probably think is absolutely insane, which it is, but I had the room to do it, so why not? And it doesn't actually sound too loud for saying how many fans are in there, even at full speed. So it's pretty good that way. Now, a few things I'm not too keen on. The first major one, which I found, because I originally wanted to put the 480 rad in the front, which is possible. However, I wanted the front rad in the front, and then I wanted the fans on the outside of the case, so this side of the case and behind the front panel. Now, it is possible to put fans that way, however, when you're doing that, you can't get 4 in the front. You have to go behind the actual front of the case itself. So you can't get 4 on the front doing it that way. And therefore, if you do have that with a radiator, it sticks out quite a lot, and then you've got basically it covering the fans up on the side, and I didn't want to cover the RGB up too much because I wanted to show it all off in its glory. So that was a bit of an issue. But what I've done now, so I changed my mind on that. I decided to put the radiator on the side, and I've push-pull from there through, and I've just got 4 normal. I've got 4 Eclipse fans on the front pulling air in, so the air comes straight in and then gets pulled in by the fans on the sides through the radiator and back out, pushed out by the Arctic fans on the back side of it. So that's one major design flaw which I didn't quite like, but then again, it does support a lot of fans, so you can't be too critical about it. Other than that, cable management is actually, there's a lot of spaces of cable management. There's a little door that flaps up so you can hide the cables behind. However, I had a bit of an issue, not a major issue, so for most people it probably wouldn't be a problem, and it would have been better if I didn't just have a cable extender. It has straight cables from the power supply. So because I've got so many fans and so many RGB fans, now the Aerocool hub only holds 6 fans per hub, and I've got 12 fans, RGB fans, so I've had to use 2 hubs, and that makes the cable management quite difficult trying to squeeze those in, because where the cables lie, they end up being in awkward positions, and therefore the panel's hard to get on the back. Other than that, that's really the only flaws I can see with it. It is a fantastic case. I think you'll agree it looks absolutely brilliant, and from when I did the build, I hope you agree with me that it looks the part as well inside. The actual build is nice and clean on this side, so I'm not too bothered about the management at the back. One thing I wasn't happy with really on the custom loop is the top radiator going to the second radiator. The loop's a bit tight because of the way I put the radiators, and there's quite a bend there, and it looks a bit silly to some people, but then I've actually grown to quite like it, to be honest. The other thing I could have done was flip the radiator around the other way, but then it would have meant a longer run from this radiator to the next radiator, and it's a toss up between the two really. Either have long runs, which I think would look uglier, or do the short run that I have done, which I've shown you in the pictures of it. Also, one final fault I didn't really like is the fact you can't do push-pull at the top. Well, you can, but it's going to stick right down. At the moment, I've got a 45mm radiator atop the Alpha-Cool radiator, and because it's so thick, the fans obviously sit down. If I was to do push-pull, it would fit in. However, it would be like that much down over the motherboard and look a bit silly. So maybe they could have, I don't know, pulled the motherboard, made it a little bit taller, pulled the motherboard down a bit so there's more gap so you can fit more in. But then again, maybe if you had a 30mm radiator or even a thinner radiator like 28mm, like a slimline, maybe you'd be okay and that wouldn't be a problem. But that's that. All in all, I'm really happy with my first water cooling build. Like I say, I've got 17 fans, I've got a 240 rad at the top, and I've got a 480 on the side, so it's completely overkill just to cool the CPU, and it is only 7700K. And currently I'm running it at 4.7 now. In the test I did it at 4.5, but I'm running it at 4.7. It's doing a really good job. So let's talk about temperatures. Now the first one, obviously idle. It is really hot here at the moment. Probably is the same place wherever you're watching from. Idle temperatures were 32 degrees, which isn't outstanding, but it isn't terrible. I was only 6 degrees over the ambient temperature, so it was 26 degrees in this room at the time. So it's not bad at all. And then we've talked about Cinebench C20, so I did a run through on that. Like I say, all cores are clocked at 4.5, so they're all locked to 4.5. Cinebench C20, C20R20, whatever it's called. The average temperature on that was 72 degrees, and that's a temperature over ambient of 46, which again isn't too bad at all. Now from that I want to do another test that's going to stress the CPU, so I used the blended BMW render, and that came out at 77 degrees and 51 degrees over ambient. So again, not bad at all, keeping it pretty decent, so I'm quite happy with that. And then another one, just to push it even further, I decided to, one of the videos for this build actually, I rendered, it was a 30-minute video to start with. I rendered it, it took about 40 minutes to render, and there's a 1080p 60 frames per second, and that came out with an average temperature of 66 degrees and only 40 degrees over ambient. So that's looking pretty good, to be honest with you. Obviously if you did 4K video rendering, it might look a bit different. It will look a bit different, and obviously different CPUs will be different as well. Now then I went on to look a bit more at the gaming side of things, so how the CPU would run temperatures on gaming and things like that. So I ran a few tests, just basic tests, just to give an idea of the kind of level of cooling we're getting from this. So I ran the 3D Mark Time Spy CPU test, the CPU test only, and I got an average temperature of 56 degrees, and that's only 30 degrees over ambient, so that's really good. And then I ran Unigine Superposition at 1080 high because I wanted to put as much load onto the CPU as possible, take a little bit off the GPU so I could test the CPU's performance more so. And that only came up to 52 degrees on average and 26 degrees over ambient, so again, very good results. Like I say, it's really hot in here at the moment, so it's looking quite good. Also, my point of view might be that if it was cooler in here, you get more cool air coming over the radiators, so therefore it could help, but I could be wrong, so let me know what you think in the comments about that. And then as an actual game, I decided to run Shadow of the Tomb Raider again at 1080p Ultra this time, and I got an average temperature of 64 degrees, which is 40 degrees over ambient. Sorry, not 40 degrees over ambient at all, it's 38 degrees over ambient, so it's not bad at all. So I'm quite happy with that, and yeah, it performs really well. So basically, looking at that, I'm quite happy with my first custom water cooling loop, and I'm going to say this basically, if I can do a water cooling loop, anybody can. I was really terrified about doing it to start with, but actually doing it is so easy, especially with flexible tubing. Obviously it's a little bit more difficult with hard tubing, which I'm not quite up for yet, but I will do at some point. But if you want to buy one of these kits, this is the Alpha Ice 240 Hurricane. There is available in 120s, not 120s, there's 240s, there's 360s as well, versions of it, and there's also different ranges in it, and it's a really good price. It's sort of, you're looking at AIO prices, like high-end AIO prices, and you're getting a water cooling loop which you can expand and add more to, especially if you've got a case like this. So it's a fantastic buy. I'm really happy with it. I've not done any GPU tests because this was just about cooling the CPU. At some point I may get a water block for the GPU and we'll revisit and do that, or I might upgrade my GPU and then get a water cooled block for that. depending on how it goes. Just can't afford it right at the moment. So that's that done. So yeah, that's about it, guys. Like I said, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you found it interesting. Hope it gives people the inspiration to do some water cooling if they're thinking about it, if they were worried about it. Honestly, it's really easy. One thing I will mention is I had an EK leak tester, and that is an absolute godsend when doing this, because you haven't got to worry that it's going to leak. If you've tested it with your air leak tester and it doesn't leak, then it should hold water. So I'd advise getting one of those. They are quite expensive, around £30, but still, they're absolutely amazing. And the case, like I say, is the Phanteks 719. I've mentioned that at the start, and that's around £180 in the UK. But for the money, I think it's absolutely fantastic. It's not stupidly priced, it's not cheap either, and you don't get any fans of it, but so factor that in if you are looking at this case. And that's about it, guys. Like I said, I hope you really enjoyed this. I really enjoyed doing it, although it was stressful at times. And I'm hoping I can do more of these kind of things in the future and do some builds, more interesting builds, more water cooling builds, things like that. I'm hoping I can really do this in the future. So thanks for watching, guys. Like I always say, please, if you're watching this and you're enjoying it, please give it a thumbs up or a thumbs down if you don't like it. Please give me any comments in the comment section below. Let me know what you think about this, whether you like the build, what you would do differently. I'd love to hear anything you've got to say about it. All comments are good, so please let me know what you think. And don't forget to click that subscribe button. All of it helps my channel massively, and I'm hoping to grow this, so that will help me out massively. So thank you, guys, and I'll see you soon.